All right, here we go with chapter 6. The truth of the matter. Kids lie. We have to, or we'd never get anything. But grown-ups lie too. They just do it differently. They leave things out. They don't give you the whole story. I'm sitting on the porch with Buddy playing with my paper dolls. They're Kewpie dolls. Baby girls wearing diapers with big wide eyes. Mama gave them to me for my last birthday. These were mine when I was your age, she told me. Buddy's not very interested in the dolls. Don't you want to play marbles, he asked. Aunt Minnie pokes her head out the front door, saying, Buddy, don't you get to playing and forget to go. I'm tired of washing your pants. And then lets out a shriek. Smokey's so startled she leaps off the porch and runs under the house. Where did you get those dolls? Aunt Minnie demands. I hesitate and then I say, Mama gave them to me for my birthday. Those are my dolls. She said they were hers, I say. Well, she must have forgotten about stealing them from me, Aunt Minnie says with emphasis. And I look down at the dolls and then back up at my Aunt Minnie. Are you sure they're the same dolls? You think I don't know my own dolls? My aunt asks and holds out her hand. You want them back? Of course I want them back. They're mine, aren't they? I pile the dolls up and hand them to her. She snatches them and gives a satisfied smile. Do I want my dolls back? After she walks inside, Buddy turns to me and asks, You want to play marbles now? The next morning, I'm watching the boys run around the lane with a bunch of wild animals, and they're playing a game they called Clee Clee, which looks like tag from where I'm sitting. Kermit's the fastest of them, all tearing headlong across the lane and dodging this boy and that. For a kid who's got a bad heart, he sure can run. I shouldn't have been so surprised about Aunt Minnie and the paper dolls. Mama's always been a little funny with the truth. Sure, she's told me lots of things about Key West, how Point Sienna trees look like they're on fire when they're blooming, and that old conch houses were built by shipwrights so they would sway in a storm just like a boat. But she left out the important parts, like about my father. All she has ever told me is that he was a fisherman, and that he said he loved her. When she told him she was expecting his baby, she waited a whole week, but he didn't ask her to marry him. A week's a long time when you're waiting on a man, I guess. Mama's left Key West and hasn't been back since. My father could have 3 eyes or be a murderer, for all I know. Still, I miss Mama so much I hardly know what to do. We've never been apart before. I worry about her being by herself. I've been here for 2 weeks now, and I've only talked to her once. I called her from Miss Lowe's house, Pudding's mother, because Aunt Minnie doesn't have a telephone. Not that we got more than 2 words in. It's me, Mama, I said when she answered. I made it. Oh, baby, Mama said, and she sounded so far away. I was so worried. Just hearing her voice made me feel like I was wrapped in a soft blanket. Mama, I started to say, and then I heard Mrs. Butnick in the background. Sadie Bell, you know I don't allow the help to use my personal telephone. Oh, sorry, ma'am, Mama murmured to Mrs. Butnick. To me, she said, I've got to go, baby. I'll write you. Mrs. Butnick could give old Mr. Scrooge a run for his money. Aunt Minnie's voice rings through the hot air. Kermit! Kermit! She strides down the lane, Buddy stumbling to keep up with her. Kermit freezes mid-step, closing his eyes as she bears down on him. Aunt Minnie's like a lawyer interrogating a witness. Look at you, all sweaty. Were you running around playing that wild game? No, Ma, he says, looking down at his bare feet. It's just the heat. You know, Doc Paris said you're not supposed to run around. She turns and looks at the other boys. Was Kermit running around? All the boys shake their heads, eyes wide as saucers. There's a chorus of, No, ma'am. Honest, Mrs. Curry, Porkchop says, his voice so sincere that I almost expect a halo to pop out over his head. Honest. You boys are about as honest as a drunk in a tavern. She whirls on Kermit. If I so much as catch you walking fast, I'm going to box your ears. Do you hear me? Yes, ma'am, Kermit says, looking chastened. Your heart can give out at any minute, she adds. Yes, ma'am. Buddy saves Kermit from the rest of Aunt Minnie's lecture. Ma, Buddy says, hopping up and down. I gotta go, really, I gotta go. Oh, come on, Buddy, Aunt Minnie says, and she walks off, pulling Buddy behind her. You better make it to the outhouse this time. Kermit sits down next to me on the porch and groans. Sometimes I think it would have been better if I had just died in the first place. He looks up at me. You want to go to Duval Street? All right, I say, and we get up and start walking. We've just turned the corner of Curry Lane when I ask, would your heart really give out from running around? I don't know, he says with a mischievous grin. Do you want to find out? And he takes off running down the street. Duval Street is like a different Key West. It's nicer. Kermit tells me they're trying to get tourists to come down here on vacation. There are all sorts of businesses. Gardner's Pharmacy, Einhorn Grocery, the Plaza Restaurant, the Blue Heaven, which serves refreshments and beer, a big building called the Cuban Club, and a fancy hotel called Key West Colonial Hotel. There's even a movie theater. Too bad it's playing Shirley Temple. It seems like everyone on this island has a funny nickname because the whole time we're walking, Kermit's greeting this person and that. Hi, Cheap John. Hi, Tutu Mama. Hey, Kitty Gray. Hiya, Fat Rat. You tried the donuts today? He's like the mayor, except he's only 9. We pass folks left and right who are speaking Spanish. It's like the second language here because of all the Cuban folks. Even Aunt Minnie speaks a little bit. Say, you know anywhere I could get a job? I ask Kermit. Girls ain't allowed in the diaper gang, he says. A real job, I say. I need to make some dough. What for? So Mama and I can buy the Bellwood, I say. What's the Bellwood? I pull out the catalog page and show it to him. Monthly payments as low as $30 to $45, Kermit reads and gives a low whistle. Whew, that sure is a lot of dough. Got any ideas? Kermit looks thoughtful. Why don't you ask Johnny Cakes? I hear he's always looking for help. What kind of business does he have? He's a rum runner. He's got a fast boat. He likes to run around with bottles of rum. Kermit gives me a funny look. No, he runs it. He brings it from the Bahamas. He lowers his voice to a whisper. It's illegal. Where can I find this Johnny Cakes fella? I ask. He's probably at Pepe's. Kermit takes me into a little cafe that's crowded with tables and folks sitting around drinking coffee. There he is, Kermit says, pointing at a handsome man wearing a smart white linen suit. There's another man at the table, a big fellow with a mustache. They're drinking leche out of condensed milk cans. Leche is Cuban coffee with a lot of milk. Everyone seems to drink it down here, even the kids. I saw a toddler sucking down leche a few days ago. We walk over to the table and Kermit says, Hi, Johnny Cakes. Well, if it isn't our Kermit, the handsome man says with a broad smile. And who's this lovely lady? This is my cousin Turtle. Pleased to meet you, sweet cheeks, Johnny Cakes says. I hear you got a fast boat, I say. Fast enough, he says, smiling. You hiring, I ask. He looks a little uncomfortable. I don't normally hire kids. I don't mind illegal activities. As long as I get paid, I say. Johnny Cake blanches. What is it that you think I do? Well, Kermit says you're a rum runner, I say. I'm not a rum runner, sweet cheeks, Johnny Cake says, his voice smooth. I'm a businessman. Import-export. Kermit looks confused. But Cousin Dizzy said last Saturday you brought in a haul of the best rum he's ever tasted. He's got you there, Johnny, the other man bellows with laughter. You're a rum runner too? I ask the man. Kermit says, Nah, he's just a writer. You write anything good, I ask. What do you mean good, the man says. You know, like those funny pages. I tick off my favorite ones on my fingers. I like Little Orphan Annie and Terry and the Pirates and Flash Gordon. Me too, Kermit says. I love Flash Gordon. Slowpoke walks up and puts an envelope on the table in front of Johnny Cakes, who picks it up and slides it into his suit pocket without even looking at it. Maybe you should start writing for the funny pages, Papa, Slowpoke says, and the writer fellow grunts. You like the funny pages? I ask Slowpoke. Terry and the Pirates is my favorite, he says. You got good taste, I say. Johnny Cakes asks Slowpoke. You hear about the auction? Must be a war coming, Slowpoke says. Who's fighting? I ask. That's just an old sponger saying, honey, Slowpoke says. Sponges are used to clean wounds, so if someone's buying a lot of them, we say they're getting ready to start a war. There's a sponge auction coming up soon. I'm headed out tomorrow to go catch what I can sell at it. Do you need any help, I ask? 'Cause this fellow won't hire me to run his illegal liquor. Johnny Cakes groans in exasperation. Oh. Slowpoke looks at me for a long moment, and then says, I suppose I could use another hand, honey. All right, I say. Slowpoke laughs. Meet me at the docks at dawn. My boat's the Lost Love. Then he tips his hat and walks off whistling. Been out fishing with Slowpoke once or twice myself, the writer fella says. He's a first-rate sailor. You know you'll never get famous unless you write for the funny pages, I tell him. He gives me a stern look. You in the habit of giving grown folks advice, young lady? Sure, I say. You're the ones who need it the most. End of chapter 6.